Congratulations. You're going to have the best background of anyone that's done it so far.
Yes. Awesome. So how are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Good. Hanging in there. It's been a while.
It's been 20 years.
Yeah. Yes, it has.
You're honestly like probably one of the few that like I actually knew in high school, and I've had like zero interaction with since high school. Like completely, like I never ran into you at Wawa or never ran into you. Like you didn't go to Temple. I didn't see you. I didn't bump into you at Monco. I haven't run into you like after the fact at Reed's or PJ Willihan's. And I think we like literally just became Facebook friends like in the past year.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know like pretty much nothing about your life or really like when I think back, I didn't know anything about you really in high school. But I know that we had like interactions, and we can get into that as much as as much as you remember, because I don't remember as much. I just know they weren't good. But I guess first, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah.
We started, by the way, just kind of.
Okay. Kind of figured.
Yeah, we just like kicked into it. But yeah, I guess where did you start Wissahickon in your high school career or your Wissahickon career, I guess?
Yep, I started on Yost Road in Bluebell.
Oh, okay.
I actually live next to Stony Creek.
Oh.
So I knew Kelly Brook, Brianna McQuaid. My first like friends there was Emily Hofield.
Yeah.
And Kate Molt. They're like my first friends, like in kindergarten. I think they had to separate me and Kate into different classes because we talked
too much. It's funny. I had that problem, but just with myself.
Yeah, that does happen. So yeah, I grew up on Yost Road, right by the creek.
Any siblings?
I have two older brothers. One's 8 years older than me. One's 10 years older than me.
Oh, wow. So they were like they were already out of school or pretty much out of like Wissahickon altogether.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was 90, 92.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you feel like you were an only child in that sense?
Funny you should ask. I kind of did, just because my brothers kind of did their own thing. And then there was me. And on both sides of the family, I was the only girl and the youngest. So it's kind of spoiled.
That's a good, same.
Yeah.
So what were you into growing up as a kid? Did you hang out like with Kate Molt and some of the others that you mentioned in your area? Is that like socially what you would do as a kid?
Yeah. I had a pool growing up, an in-ground pool. And I think so did Kate. So we hung out by the pool mostly and just going over each other's houses and doing what normal kids do. There was, like I said, there was a creek that ran through my property. So I would always be in there getting dirty. And like growing up, I did a lot of sports. I actually did softball, soccer, and basketball for WRA. So yeah, I was into sports.
I did WRA for a few years. I was an ambler, so I did like ambler sports, but then at a certain point, like we didn't really have like a real basketball league and there was no soccer. And so I had to like make the transfer into WRA stuff. It was tougher. Exactly. It was so much tougher there than like ambler stuff was.
Yeah. Cause I grew up with Pete Janik.
When you got to middle school, were you able to keep that same, like, were you still friends with Kate Molt or?
Not really. Like our friendship kind of ran its course. And I mean, it's funny, like I had like different groups of friends. Like I remember I was really good friends with Justin Duffner.
Yeah.
Back in like 5th grade, I would go over his house on a Friday. We would play kickball and hang out there. My mom was friends with his mom. And my mom worked with Carolyn Rosser's mom at Stony Creek. and Sean Higgins. So I kind of grew up with them too. But in middle school, that's when I think we met. I totally forgot we were in Mr. Whitaker's class together.
Mr. Whitaker. Okay.
Different podcasts. I'm like, that's right. I had Whitaker too. And in 7th grade, that's when I met Kira Marcy.
Yeah.
And that's when we became friends. And we're still friends to this day. I just hung out with her last weekend.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was in my wedding. So the friendship started, I think, in 7th grade. But also in 7th grade, I think that's when we met. And I think we had chorus. I want to remember that's where it started, was chorus.
It.
But the thing is, I know we like teased each other, but I don't remember it being like, oh, he's horrible, he's good, like bad. It was more like a brother-sister banner type thing back and forth. Okay. That's what I remember. I don't remember what we joked about or teased each other about, but I just remember that for some reason.
Okay, so what I remember when I think maybe when the podcast first started, you had made a comment on Facebook and said, "Do you remember?"
I was like, I felt bad. I'm like,
you used to tease me, and I did feel bad, not because I didn't believe you, because I absolutely did believe you. And I sometimes make mention, like when people are like, "Oh, Brad, you were great, you were fine," and I go, "Did we have any classes together?" And they go, "No, I don't think so." I go, "Well, then you didn't get to really experience me." So like when you say like, "Oh, we had 6th grade, we had Mr. Whitaker together, and then if we had chorus together, like you got a good dose of me," which meant that I probably,
we were in Dreamgirls together.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, weren't you like the manager?
Yeah, Mrs. Watson Bay.
Yeah,
I remember she would always freak out. The poor girl. Yeah, I've totally forgot you were in Dreamgirls. So I was like, cause somebody was talking about, I think it was Brianna, when you were talking about it in high school. I'm like, wait, he was one of the main roles. Okay, so we were in
8th. That was 8th grade.
Yeah, that was 8th grade.
Yeah. So were you into? So you said you were into sports. Did that continue in middle school? Did you do stuff with the school?
Yeah, in 7th grade I did softball, and 8th grade I tried out for softball but didn't get it, so I became a manager for the 7th grade team. And then that continued to freshman year in high school. I did softball, but that was the only sports I did in school.
When you become, can I ask you like about being the manager?
Sure.
So I don't know, in middle school, like I only did the musicals, right? And when you do, I don't even think I did sports anymore, but there is no like, for a guy, there's no like real making it or not. You're just in pretty much. So when you're in middle school and you try out for softball, but you don't get that, and then this opportunity to be the manager, what's that like? As like, you're pretty young at that point. You're like 13.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I was upset that I didn't get in, but it's kind of like a consolation. So I still got to travel with the team, and I kept score and did all that, made sure everybody had their equipment. So it was a nice consolation.
Yeah, you get to still be part of the sorority, I guess. In that case. How did you end up with the musical? Were you into like theater, musicals at all? I'm always interested because I felt like I was like a self-imposed lifer. Like I felt like I had to do it because I was trying to be an actor.
Okay.
So I was always curious when people who had never done it before were like showing up for auditions and for this really long, grueling process. Like, what's your interest level when you're doing something that involved?
I don't know how I got into it. I think I started in 7th grade. I don't know what play we did in 7th grade. I know
another part of me. Okay.
So maybe I started after that, because I know the first part of 8th grade we did little skits for people, and I was in that. I guess I kind of wanted to be an actor too, but I knew I wasn't that good. So it was a way to express myself. And from what I remember, I'm an introvert, so that got me out of my shell.
Ah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny when you say not that good, because I recently was hanging out on a Zoom call with Mike Clyburn, and I've recently received the digital copies of all the musicals over the past like tons of years, including Annie. And I was screen sharing with Mike, and we're watching this thing, and we were watching everybody. And I'm going, Mike, this is trash. Everyone is really, really bad. Except for me. I gotta be honest. I thought I kind of brought it, but everyone else is like, so when you say I wasn't that good, I'm thinking like, I wonder what is good for like a 13-year-old.
I don't know.
You know what? It's funny. Like I hated acting and like doing theater, and I think that's why I liked doing like directing and shooting film and video and behind the scenes and things like that, because I used to get like fucking anxiety attacks about having to go out there and remember my lines and like just put on this whole thing and everything. Like I liked the camaraderie of it.
It was, I did enjoy that.
But the anxiety that went with it, man, was a lot.
Yeah, I didn't have that many lines, but I think, weren't you Curtis? Was that his name?
I was Jimmy.
Jimmy, okay.
Yeah, I was James Thunder Early, which, if you ever watched the movie, is the Eddie Murphy role.
Yeah, okay. I forgot which one. I was like, I know it was one of those.
Yeah, I take my pants off in the... which is probably like the most comfortable thing that I did. Was like the class clown type of thing. I was like, oh, I can black out and do this. There was no acting involved with that one.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember I had to sing. I was part of like one of the groups that they went against.
Yes.
I was the lead singer, and then I had one small other role. But it was nice. I had a good time doing that. And then I knew like high school, I was like, yeah, I'm not even gonna try. No.
So what did you, as you got into high school then? So for me, you know, I always felt like I had like these different relationships with people at a very young age. And, you know, even like through middle school, but, you know, for me, like one of my friends left and went to LaSalle, and, you know, if you don't have classes in high school, similar with the pod situation, but in high school, you're so spread out and the different lunches. And it was even harder, I felt, for me to like keep in touch with people I had already started relationships with, completely, you know, removed from like the geographical aspect, the people I live near and have been friends with that whole time. So for me, I felt like I was starting friendships over every single year in high school. Did you, like, you were friends with Kira the whole way through, but did you have a group of friends as you got to high school that were steady for you?
Yeah, like I hung out with like the older, like Adina Lazarson, and then she was a year younger, another Kira Downs. But also I was friends with Aneta Piatek.
Oh yeah.
So like I kind of like had like different groups for different classes. Like for French, we all took French together, so we saw each other in French. I took Latin for 2 years, so
okay.
Yeah,
One of the fun things about Wissahickon is I always felt was our language department, because when you tell people that I would tell people I took Japanese, and they go, "You had Japanese?" And I go, "Oh yeah, we had it since middle school." And then I think, and I always remember that they were one of the few that actually had Latin, because the joke that not my parents, but I feel like just the general joke everyone would always make is, "Why would you take Latin? It's a dead language." But Wissahickon offered it, and because other schools didn't offer it, other school districts, I always thought like we were like exclusive. You know, I felt like that was like a hoity-toity type of.
Yeah, I took it just to help my SATs, which it didn't really help my SATs. So, yeah, but it was pretty easy for the first year. The second year, we had somebody else, and he would like foam at the mouth. I know kids were like, we were horrible to him, and I think he quit halfway through or got kicked out, one or the other.
So you thought learning Latin like would help you learn the root of of
Yeah,
words?
for SATs, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody always said, so I'm like, all right.
That's smart. I never thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, you took French, and was that in middle school?
Yep, I took French in middle school and high school, and I continued it in college for a couple years.
Wow. What did you like about, like, for me, I really enjoyed Japanese culture, learning about Japanese culture. What did you enjoy about French? I don't think I've heard from anyone that's really taken French yet.
Well, as you know, in sixth grade, we had the 4 languages. And French and Spanish were the 2 easiest for me. And I knew, I was like, everyone's going to take Spanish. So let me try something different. So I chose French. I was like, there's no way I'm doing Japanese. There's just no, I can't. So, and German was the only language in 6th grade I got a B in. I still can't count to 10 in German. I can count to 10 in all the other ones. So I'm like, I'll stick with French. And then I actually became friends with the French teacher, Madame Zeker.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Quebec together in Montreal. Our whole class did.
Yeah.
So that's where like I met like Brooke Johnson was in my class, Lauren Hilton. So some of those girls.
Okay. That's middle school?
Yes.
Wow. What was the song? I was literally having this conversation with someone where it was like, and I was butchering it, and I was just doing it out of sounds. I remember songs by like sounds. Mm-hmm. So in my head, it was like, Je m'appelle Landiel, Lonely Dancer, Lonely Dancer. Like, and they were like, my friend was like, that's not a song.
Yeah. She loves songs.
Yeah.
I still know how to sing the French national anthem in French. Like I don't know why. Canada, no, I forgot that one, but
is that song, now you were grooving to that song. Is that right? Is that song right?
Mm-hmm. That was one of them. I don't know if it actually meant anything, but yeah, that was one that we would sing. Mm-hmm.
I got a C in French, a B in Spanish, a B in Japanese, and an A in German. But I picked Japanese because I thought that was the one I was like the best at. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know my grade hadn't come back for German yet.
Okay.
That I got in my A, but at that point I was already committed to Japanese. So
yeah,
on I went. I got no trip to Japan though.
Yeah. I did get to go to France in high school.
Really? Is with language?
Yep, with Madame Irish. And I think it was our 10th grade. It was 99 because it was right before the millennium. Mm-hmm. Because the Eiffel Tower had like the countdown on it.
Wow. Who'd you go with? Like was it like everyone that took French?
Everyone that took French could go, but you had to pay for it. So some people didn't want to go. So I don't think it was everybody, but a lot of people went. And I think there was we met up with another group from around the United States. So when we did tours, yeah.
Do you stay at a hotel?
Mm-hmm. We traveled around a lot. We had a bus driver who I think was drunk half the time. We saw some drunk people. We went to wineries, but we couldn't drink. We got to go to the Normandy, the beaches of Normandy.
Wow.
So we were there for like 9 days. It was a nice trip.
That's incredible. I've still never like traveled internationally. So like anything like that is still part of the pun foreign to me. When I hear like stuff like that, like my mind, right? If you listen to the podcast, I relate everything to television. Mm-hmm. So I think of that summer season of 90210 when Brenda and Donna go to Paris for the summer, and Brenda meets Dean Cain and pretends that she's French and picks up a cigarette smoking habit, and Donna becomes a model for the summer and gets swindled by some older guy. Any of this reminiscent of your trip?
No. I wish. A drunk guy almost sat on me. We're trying to like ask him, "Are you drunk?" Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, we got to see most of the Notre Dame, Eiffel Tower, the Louvre. We went up north. So yeah, it was.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Have you been since?
No.
That's awesome.
No. Yeah.
That's awesome then that you got to experience that already at such a young age.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to go.
I'm curious because you mentioned like Brooke Johnson and Lauren Hilton, and those names for me, like when I think of them, I think of like popular kids, and I would always, I don't know, have like, I guess I think I've always had a complex, right, about like social stature and all that, right? So for me, I think of myself and like interacting with kids in the popular crowd out of like being forced, and the closest I would come would be like the occasional like chorus activity. But that would be it. So for you, those weren't your friends, but so you mentioned that you were kind of conscious of that hierarchy, at least. What's that like for you then, as you're kind of interacting with people who are kind of out of your social world and you know it?
Yeah. It was hard. I know I always tried to fit in because I kind of always wanted to be the popular girl. And I knew I wasn't. But it's funny. I don't remember being picked on in high school or middle school really. But I was always conscious of my weight because I was the big girl. And like I never dated. I asked my own date to the prom. So I always had that insecurity of being overweight and not fitting in.
Alicia talked about feeling like she was like the big girl of the group, and she was in the popular crowd, even if she said she was friends with everybody.
Yeah. Well, I actually have.
Oh, go ahead.
She actually told me once. She told me I would never be popular.
Really?
Yeah, I always remember that about her. But I listened to her podcast, and she seems like the sweetest girl ever. I'm like, because I remember I was like, I always wanted to be like Alicia because I knew she was a bigger girl, not as big as me, and she had confidence, and she still hung out with guys and had fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to like, when I joked about my animosity with Eric, and I think I just had this complex with like brown people, and anytime I saw someone biracial or light skin, I would just like, God, how come that guy's like the cool one of the light skinned guys or the biracial kids, or and I would feel like God, how come I can't be picked, like, because I think I wanted to believe that there was a reason why I couldn't be in like those circles.
Exactly. Yeah.
And to see someone that I thought looked like me would kind of make my mind go crazy. Like, why couldn't I be the one? And I always thought there could only be one of each, right? Yeah. In the group.
Yeah. Yeah, it was difficult being the bigger girl. And I was always like the wing girl. I would see my friends get hit on and the guys come to them, and I just sat there and smiled. They never really talked to me.
Yeah. So socially then, as when you're in high school then, what are you guys doing then as these things are, like, you talk about guys like hitting on your friends, but what are you guys doing just in general for fun now? I mean, again, I don't know what girls do, so I'm always very curious what girl groups were always into doing.
For me, I didn't really go to parties. I know I listened to some podcasts with like drugs are all around. I was naive to that. Didn't really pick up on that. I knew people drank and probably smoked pot, but I never saw it.
Yeah.
So,
that's interesting. Did you have a desire so you didn't even know it was happening?
Not the hard drugs.
Okay.
That could be so available. No, well, I guess deep down, probably I knew it was happening. That just wasn't my scene. I never had a desire to do any of that. So most of the time I spent with my friends just hanging out at one of our houses, listening to music, watching a movie. I remember going for walks with Kira around Ambler bare feet, going to Rita's. So yeah, we would find other stuff to do. And then in high school, I got a job at Clemens in Center Square.
Yo, everyone works at Clemens.
Yeah, me and Gody. I used to hang out with Gody too. I always made fun of him because he's a day younger than me. His birthday's right after mine. So I would always say, respect your elders. So yeah, I worked at Clemens in the bakery and then doing a cashier. So that was a lot of my weekends in high school, was doing that. And then when I had time, hanging out with friends.
That's pretty much like what my social life was like. I didn't have like any interest back then in the. I think I was passively aggressively wanted to party and wanted to hang out with like the cool kids, and I wanted to want to get fucked up. But it took me a long time to even like, the taste of alcohol and things like that. So it wasn't anything that I was like trying to get into or had any window into. So for me, I worked at Wawa every weekend, 7 to 3, every Saturday and Sunday morning. So it was the exact same for me, of like maybe even like a Friday night if I was unlucky enough. So like, work till like 10 or 11 o'clock on a Friday, go home, get back up the next morning, get home, and then like, Scott or Ray or Josh or whatever, and like that would be like it, like, okay, we're going to hang out at someone's house and watch a movie, or we're going to hang out and drive around and listen to music. So it sounds like we had very similar social patterns.
Yeah, we did.
You hit on two of my favorite stock questions. You said you were listening to music and watching movies. What were you listening to? What were you watching?
I always liked horror movies and comedy. Two complete opposite. And like I would watch Scream.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Kind of like the corny flicks. And then like music, I was big into Eminem. I kind of listened to everything. Like I went to Backstreet Boys concerts, but then I liked Eminem and Jay-Z and all those.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny. So you probably liked Jay-Z before I liked Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Jay-Z is my favorite rapper, but it wasn't until college that I really, really started like liking him, maybe senior year. But I was an Eminem guy through most of high school.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Taking walks around my neighborhood listening to him. I'm like, yeah, I'm the token white girl listening to Eminem.
So did you have a CD player in your car? Did you drive?
I did. I started late.
Me too.
I turned 16 my freshman year. I was older. I was born March of 82.
Okay.
I actually started in Bluebell for half-day kindergarten. And then I went to full-day kindergarten at Stony. And then by that point, I was older than everybody. But yeah, growing up, I started driving when I got my license the election of 2000.
Oh, okay.
Election day 2000.
Big day.
Yeah, I got my dad actually owned a gas station at 309 and 63. 309 Cinema.
Yeah.
It was a Exxon right there on the corner. That was my dad's gas station for 30 years. So he got me a car for free. A guy never came to pick it back up. So I had like a 92 Saturn. They had those like seatbelts that came around. Yeah, it didn't have a CD player, but I got one. I bought one when you could take the case off and take it with you.
The faceplate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it came. Yeah, you could put it in like a little padded case.
Yep.
Wow, you're taking me back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because I didn't have a CD player in my car. And it took me a little bit to get like one of those, to get the faceplate. So I would dub all my CDs to tape.
Okay.
And then play the tape. But boy, was that hard.
Yeah, I would record the radio. Mm-hmm. We're doing that.
So were you a hip hop fan growing up? You mentioned those two, but were you into other music, or was it hip hop pretty much? I was like pretty hard.
I know. Like I like the Fugees. I would say I kind of liked everything. Like I said, I went from like country to Backstreet Boys to Eminem. Like it was a whole.
That's right. You did say Backstreet Boys. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But like my first concert was Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was New Year's Eve, so it went into New Year's, and of course on New Year's everyone lit up. And I was with my brother, and I'm like, yeah, they're doing it. He's like, how do you know what it smells like? I'm like, I have our brother. Not too naive, I know.
For you then, socially, like you talked about in middle school, not really being picked on, but you did mention like Alicia, in that way, like saying like, hey, I mean, it's out there, right?
Yeah. I'm sure he probably doesn't even remember, but it's like, it's little, like one little thing somebody says I remember all these years later.
But did you, I guess as you're getting older now through high school, did you feel like animosity with anyone, or was it pretty much you were off your own devices with your friends?
No, it was just off with my friends. Like I said, whatever class we had, like I made like different friends, like Jenny Martin. I was friends with like Jenny Zhang, Catherine Zhao, and Wesson. Like just like, so I had like the smart group, and then the popular, some popular, like Jenny Martin. She was like the sweetest girl ever. She would talk to anybody. And I think my mom worked with her too for a time. So it was kind of like who you had class with, you became close with.
Mm. Yeah. So you said smart crowd. Were you a good student?
No. I was average. High 2.7, I think I graduated with. But it's funny, in middle school, I was like on the honor roll, just like A's, B's throughout all middle school. And then high school came, and yeah, that didn't work.
Was it just harder? Was it something with you in education, just less interested?
No, it was just harder, I think. Just trying to figure out high school and dealing with all the social pressures and everything.
Did you feel pressure to be a certain type of student?
No, luckily my parents said, I don't care what your grade is as long as you tried your hardest. So they were fine for what I did.
Okay. I always had a hard time when we were in high school with like studying. I literally didn't have any idea how to remember this stuff. You know, for me, it seemed like the only way that we were taught was write down what the teacher's writing down on the board in Roman numeral outline form. And then, I don't know, I guess you're supposed to read it over and over to yourself at home. And that's what studying is. And I was just like, I can't do that.
No, I don't think I ever studied. I just remember, like, I used my memory from class. That's how I took tests. I didn't study. I didn't read any textbooks, I don't think.
Yeah, and I think my best performances were with teachers who had engaging conversations. I think that's why so many people remember Mr. Lazar. Mr. Yeah. Lazar was such an engaging teacher, and so many things were discussion when talking about, just different parts of history. And I tend to think that's why so many people, well, plus he's just a personality, right? But Yeah, the idea of like just writing down and science too, beyond just history, science. And I think with math, where I got to actually do it and practice it, you get to remember it over and over, whether it's a formula or order of performing different things. For me, that was the hardest thing about high school. It really mattered how well you could remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Dates and key phrases and
yeah.
Did you have a favorite teacher?
Not really in high school.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Like I don't think I had like one particular teacher where
no one stood out to you.
Yeah. I still remember Mrs. Butt.
Mrs. Butt, I don't remember her. What was her?
It was biology. Her first name was Heidi Butt. I remember that. And she's like, I heard it all, people. Yeah, she's biology.
But yeah, that's funny. So since you didn't have any favorite teachers, did you like high school?
I mean, parts of it, like I said, being the heavy girl, it didn't really make it fun. But like I said, I don't think I was ever like picked on. I know there was like a couple instances, like in middle school, I got spit on. I remember that. Like we had the bleachers that we sat on, and like I felt some like hit the back of my head, and I went like this, and it was in my hand. I'm like, just like little things like that. And then also I was dealing with finding out I had a chromosome disorder. So dealing with all that was hard.
That was in high school?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Can I ask what that means? I'm completely ignorant to.
No. I was diagnosed with Turner syndrome, which is I'm missing an X chromosome. Because, like guys are X and Y and girls are X and X.
Okay.
One of my X's is not, it's either not there or not working properly.
So does that mean anything for you, like as far as side effects or?
I didn't develop any ovaries. So I had to do hormone replacement, and it can affect your heart and thyroid. So I had to get those checked.
Wow. So you're finding this out as you're like a teenager?
Yeah, I was 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you process something like that so young?
It wasn't too bad at first because I had hope of still being able to like carry a child with all the science. But later on I found out it wasn't a good idea because of my heart. So back then, like I had hope. So I kind of like, okay, I still will be able to do it some way. So it didn't affect me that much until later on.
Mm. While you're in school, so it feels like school was just kind of like the thing you went to every day, almost like the way people talk about work now. It's like, well, do you like what you do? It's like, well, it's what I have to go to every day when I wake up. So that's not really, that sounds like how you were taking high school.
Kind of like, but I still had a good time. I still enjoyed my friends. I knew it was important. I tried to do good. And I did go to college. I went to Kutztown.
So that was my question was as you're like going through school, did you have something that you thought, obviously you knew, since you said you knew you had to do well, or you had to do the best you could, and it was important to get out of school. I'm assuming then the next part that you're assuming is that you're going to go to college, right? That was like.
Yeah, I always knew I wanted to go to college.
Did you have something as you were growing up or getting through high school that you thought, oh, this is something that I would either want to go to college to learn more about, or something that I would like to do as a job when I got out of college?
Yeah, when I first started college, I went for environmental biology because I always liked biology and study of animals, but then I realized how hard it was. So I think 2 years in, I switched my major to environmental geography.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I became a geography major, which I got lucky. Most of my credits transferred. Because for some reason, I always like studying maps. Like before we had GPS, I would like to plot out my route and all that. And my dad owning a towing company as well. I got to learn like the different neighborhoods because I used to work for him too occasionally. Like I started there. I cashiered and then dispatched towing calls for him. So yeah, I always enjoyed looking at maps for some reason. So I was like, that's a logical next step.
I'm always curious, like you wanted to do environmental biology at first. As you're like gearing up for that and you're looking at, you said Kutztown?
Mm-hmm.
So as you're gearing up for that, what makes you think that you want to do, like, did you have any type of experience in science, like outside of class, or any experience with biology that like you were able to like harness this moment to say, this is what I want to do when I go to college? It just seems like such a, ambitious random major if you never had experience.
Yeah, I really didn't have experience from what we learned in high school. To be honest, I don't even know why I chose that major. It was fine up to when I had to do chemistry. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do 2 years of chemistry. No. And I was like, will I be good at it too? I'm like, let me rethink something here. What am I passionate about? What can I enjoy doing?
Geography.
Yeah.
So what does that entail as a major? What does that mean?
So a lot of people ask, they're like, okay, what can you do? Well, right now I'm not using my degree at all. But when I graduated, I worked for an engineering firm doing surveying. So people out with the
little camera thing.
That was me. I did that, and I started drawing plans there. So you can do that. You can work for the local government for the environmental part of the government in your local government. So and become a geography teacher. It's a bunch of different stuff you can do.
Was Kutztown one of many options for you? Did you look at other schools? How did you come to go into Kutztown?
I applied for like 4 schools, and I got into, I think, all of them, but I had to do a summer program because my SATs weren't great. And
because Latin just didn't work out.
No, it didn't. So I think Westchester wanted me to wait a semester and do courses to start, and Bloomsburg, I think it was just too far, and Kutztown was like the perfect distance. It was like an hour and a half, so like I could come home and work on the weekends if I needed to, and I could do the summer program and start in fall with everybody else.
So you were always planning on going to somewhere that you could have like a quick come back home commute.
Yeah, and also because they were cheaper to the state school.
Sure. Did any of your friends go away to school?
Yeah, actually, well, one of my roommates was from high school. Jamie.
Rosen?
No.
Oh, name game. Our class?
Yeah.
Oh, Jimmy. Oh, no. I'm thinking of...
Not Jamie Jaskowiak. That was Amy.
That is Amy.
It was Jamie. She lived next to Kyle Spees and Annetta and Justin Hammond. Jamie Jelonic.
That last name sounds familiar, but I can't think of who that is. you didn't have anyone, like there was no FOMO or thought of like, oh, maybe I'd like to go away, even if you couldn't. Was there ever any thought of like moving away from the area completely, or?
Not at that time. Like I knew I wanted to do a state school, so I knew I wasn't going to be too far. So, and I know some of my friends went to like to Shippensburg, so we kind of like connected during breaks. So that was, the main. I think there was only one person like who was my roommate, Jamie, that I knew from Kutztown that was there.
I think Alyssa Maley went to Kutztown.
Maybe.
Yeah. She also came home on the weekend.
Yeah, I didn't do it my freshman year that much, but then like my sophomore year, where we could have a car, so might as well make money during the weekend.
Was there a social life on campus? Did you feel like you were missing out on like college, on like a college life by coming home on the weekends?
Not really. Because I still stayed up there during the weekends and hung out with friends. And like I said, my freshman year, I mostly stayed up there because I didn't really have a car.
So you saw what they had to offer.
Mm-hmm. And then like my sophomore, junior, freshman or senior year, I'd go home like every other weekend. So I still would stay up. And towards the end of college, I became part of the Renaissance Club. So
what's that?
We put on like a Ren fair at school. We enjoyed Renaissance clothing and all that stuff. I just did it for the social aspect more because one of my ex-boyfriends was part of it, so he drugged me along. So
you mentioned in high school that you didn't date or anything like that, but then it sounds like then you said one of your ex-boyfriends. So it sounds like in college then you're from a social aspect, like you got a little bit more involved.
Yeah, before my husband, the longest relationship I had was like 4 months. So I really didn't date that much. And when I did, it wasn't that long. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I started figuring stuff out in college.
Did you, did you party more once you got to college, or were you still not into that aspect?
Yeah, I still wasn't into that. I went to a couple with some of my friends, but just, it wasn't my scene. So, yeah.
Yeah. So then as you're like in college, what do you start thinking then? You said you're not working in your major, which many are not, right? I'm struggling to hold on to stay in my major. But so was this going to be apparent to you? Like some people know, like I'm just getting my degree and then I'm going to go figure something else out. Did you have any of that clarity? Did you know what you wanted to do for your future as you were going through college?
Well, with moving to geography, I would have loved to work for like a planning commission at a local level, but and I started an engineering firm, like drawing and planning. So that was interesting to me. So I kind of wanted to continue doing that and learn more. But that's when like the economy went down, so the people weren't building, so I got laid off. And then now I work for Iron Mountain as an account manager.
What is Iron Mountain?
They do secure shredding and record storage, or the Disney Vault. You know, when they say, because we have the underground facilities out in Boyers, Pennsylvania. So I deal with like big customers like Microsoft and Oracle. Yeah.
Cool. Mm-hmm. And where did you meet your husband?
I actually met him online.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, through Yahoo Personals back in the day. That's why I still have a Yahoo.
So it's sentimental.
Yeah. So yeah, we met online, met up. We've been married now. We just had our 11-year anniversary.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in 2020. That was 2009. So wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, we met in 2006 and got married in 2009. Yep.
Wow. Where are you at now?
I live in Schwanksville.
Schwanksville. Okay. It's still not that far then. Pretty close to home.
Yeah.
You mentioned like you're friends with Kira. Do you come back to the Wissahickon area at all?
Yeah, I still go to Ambler occasionally. I know in one of the podcasts you mentioned Pudge's, the best cheesesteaks.
Are you a Pudge's or a Pudge's person?
Pudge's.
Pudge's.
Mm-hmm.
So you say
I grew up right down the street from it on Yost Road. It was right there. I always went there.
So you're a native. See, let's listen to Kim. Kim has laid down the law on the pronunciation.
Yeah, it's Pudge's.
Pudge's. Thank you.
Yeah, I was there when it was in the other shopping center. You'd go under the
RC Cola.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the drippy air conditioner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I told you, like, I just connected with you on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And so pretty much the only thing that I've like seen with your stuff, like on the most part, is like you've kind of been documenting a little bit about your journey of weight loss.
Yeah, just kind of like Alicia. I knew she was a Weight Watch. It's funny, the same thing happened with me. I lost 100 pounds right before I met my husband. And then it went back on. So I always joke with him. I said, I tricked you. I kind of had the same feeling that she did. I'm like, is he still going to be around? But then recently I lost almost 100 pounds again. So
what do you, Alicia talked about Weight Watchers. What are you using?
I'm a nutritionalist with my husband. It's free with insurance, so I might as well. And I've been doing that for 2 years and going slowly, but yeah. But I did Weight Watchers to lose the 100 pounds the first time. And I did every type of diet too. I think I was in 6th grade and was doing Weight Watchers.
Wow.
Whitaker's class, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Mr. Whitaker, we didn't talk about, do you remember, I told the story of being attacked by Kelly Bernard. Do you remember this story at all?
I don't, but I remember Kelly. I remember Penny too.
Yeah, Penny. Yep.
Penny, and what was the guy's name? It was her and the guy. They were like crazy.
Oh, in our class?
Yeah.
Oh.
She would pick on me. I remember her. She would always pick on me.
The only people I can remember is like Pete Whitaker and Penny and Kelly and the Super Carols. Those are the things. Do you remember the giant like fort that he had in the back of his classroom?
And I would play the fish game. I forget the name of it.
Eating fish?
Yeah.
Oh yes, plankton. Yes, you would eat plankton. Oh my God, I forgot about that game.
I remember that.
So I always have fond memories because this was one of the first like computers. It started for me like in like 4th or 5th grade, but like seeing a computer that you didn't have like a Mac.
Yeah. That
would start up without a disk in it, but it also had CD-ROM.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the encyclopedia, like was it Grolier's encyclopedia?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the guys in Mr. Whitaker's class, we used to always look up Madonna because the picture in the encyclopedia of Madonna was with like the cone bra. And we were all like, oh, look at that. That's a woman.
Yeah, I think Godey was in our class too.
Really?
I'm pretty sure he was in our class. And I remember Saphir.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, I do remember Saphir. That was the first time I met him.
Yep. Yeah, we always went back and forth with each other too. Remember that?
I can't find him anywhere.
Yeah, that would be a good podcast.
If anyone's listening to this and they kick it with Saphir, please let me know. So for you, like, I don't know, life now, what's happening?
Oh, like I said, I live in Schweinsville with my husband. I don't have any kids, obviously. We just lost our fur baby in January, so we're on the hunt for a new one.
That stinks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was 15, so we had him. Yeah, we had him for 12 years. So it was unfortunately time, but yeah, we're looking for a new fur baby. Yeah, like I said, I still hang out with Kira. We have a fire pit outside that we hang out because we can social distance. So yeah.
Is Kira the only one from school that you still talk to?
Pretty much. She's the one I always see. Occasionally I'll talk to some people on Facebook. But yeah, she's the main person I see.
When you were at school, did you like compare? I don't know. Were you like comparing your experience at all with friends around you that were doing? I'm always like curious about like people with education, like what they're doing or what they want to do versus like what their friends do. I always feel like friends kind of sometimes push you into either into like getting out of your comfort zone or maybe pushing you into a comfort zone.
Yeah, well, Kira was definitely pushing me out of my comfort zone. I was, like I said before, not like sheltered, but I was from Bluebell and she was from Ambler. So she was a lot tougher. She knows, she says what she means. She's straight shooter and I'm the complete opposite. So it works. So I remember I wanted to be more like her, to express my feelings more and tell people how it is. And yeah.
Did you adapt that? Do you think you were able to adapt some of that from her?
Not really. I think now I'm starting to, but like I was the type of person that had a hard time saying no because I always felt like I was going to disappoint somebody. So I hated when people were mad at me for some reason. Like I just didn't like that. So I tried to please everybody. So yeah.
You sounds like you try to avoid conflict then.
Exactly.
That's not a bad trait to have at times. But you don't want to be taken advantage of, right? When you say you can't say no, right? That can be a hard hole to fall into with people too when they get used to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So now I'm starting to say no and not care.
Yes. Especially in today's age, it can be very hard to have to feel like you need to please someone, especially when we're all kind of like somewhat trapped amongst ourselves. So like to take time to do things that you actually want to do is, I find, especially now, very important for your own self-health.
Yeah. But being an introvert, this is like heaven for me. Don't have to go out.
So, it's funny because I don't know the term, like I don't know the definition, introvert, extrovert. I mean, I know what they're supposed to mean, but I don't know like what I am either way. But I feel at times very similar where it's like, I forgot it's been like about 6 months.
Yeah. I feel like yesterday was March.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. I mean, it sucks that I can't go to any sports and there's no concerts and I can't drink in the streets for any festivals, but I don't know, I could go another 6 like this.
Because it's funny, like growing up, I was a big sports person. Like I have 2 older brothers who care less about sports, and then there's me. My dad, I think my brother's like shopping more than I do. So like I was kind of like a tomboy as well growing up. I was like sports, especially like when the Eagles finally won the Super Bowl. I was in heaven. That was like my one goal in life, is to see them win. So
yeah, that's pretty sexist of me, I think, actually, because you mentioned how you played all these sports and then I didn't ask you about your actual sports fandom. I think I just assumed that you didn't mean pro sports, that you didn't, but you are like an actual, that I'm just thinking like, why didn't I think because you're a girl, I just didn't assume that, but you're a big Eagles fan.
Yeah. Eagles was my team out of all the sports. Eagles was my favorite. That was like me and my dad's time together because he would be watching, yelling at the TV. And I would get so upset when they would lose. But then I realized what it's like to be a Philly fan. So, so that was a big part of growing up with sports. I mean, I even missed Halloween to go to an Eagles-Dallas game with my dad. So,
all right, that's because back in those days, Eagles Cowboys was like that was like fucking Halloween. Yep. The freaks were out on those nights.
Yeah, he gave me a choice. He's like, you can go to Halloween, or I have tickets to the Eagles Dallas at 4:00. So
wow.
He's like, I'll get you a bag of candy. I'm like, okay. I was like, what other time am I going to go to an Eagles Dallas game? And I still haven't been doing. I've been doing another Eagles game, but not an Eagles Dallas.
That's a different animal.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then you stayed sports fan through this whole time?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I enjoy the Phillies. I go to a lot of games. I actually did the Phillies 5K the last 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you do 5Ks too?
Walking them, yeah. I'm starting to do more 5Ks, yeah. That was my friend Kira made me do it. See? She's the one that was like, she can't sit still. She has to be out doing something. So this was killer for her.
That's awesome. Yeah, I do actually see on Facebook she does a lot of organizing of events.
Yeah, she's very, like we were supposed to do a car smash in August or in the 2nd. And we've done that the last couple of years to raise money we do a suicide prevention walk every year. And that's her big cause. Mm-hmm. So that was canceled. And I think they're doing virtually anyway. So we'll meet up and walk together just to do it. Yeah. And even this year, the Phillies 5K, I did it virtually.
Let me go over here and grab my yearbook real quick. I put it on the chair.
I have my 5th grade yearbook.
What? I have my 5th grade. I have my 5th grade from Shady Grove also. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
And actually, I have my yearbook right on my coffee table.
Do you look at it ever?
Occasionally. I remember my senior class picture. It's horrible.
So this will all be... Okay, so here we go. Here's one thing I need to know about now that I'm looking at this, Kim. What is the Omni Club?
Omni was... Because I only did it for like a year. It was a foreign language club. It was, which I'm surprised you didn't learn about different cultures and yeah.
You also did sign language. Do you still do sign language? Do you still know it?
No. Again, I only did that for like a year.
And foreign exchange.
Yeah, I actually had a foreign exchange student. From France. We became very good friends. Like they paired us up so well. It was, and I lost contact with her I remember the last letter I got from her was after 9/11 because she said, if you're scared, you can come over to France. So I remember that. And then we just lost contact. Yeah.
Boy, isn't that funny? She offered you a place to live and then we changed the name of their fries.
I know.
I'm just reading your list of names of your initials.
I remember looking at it. I'm like, I don't remember who some of these initials are. I feel bad.
Well, KM's Kira. Mm-hmm. PT. AP is Aneta, right?
Yep, Aneta Piatek.
GC.
Grace Chen.
JH.
Probably.
Jason Herb, right? CB. See, this is what's so funny about all of these is like at the time in high school, it feels like everything, right? To get all the initials in. Mm-hmm. AB. And ES.
I think that was probably Erica Smersley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Erica hated me. Yeah, I'm glad that my family stood by me in my school life. I love you, Mom, Dad, Brandy, and David. Good luck, class of 2001. I hope to see everyone outside of school enjoy your life. It is only the beginning. You hope to see everyone outside of school?
It sounded good.
But you said you've looked at it recently, so it won't shock you. It's not like a surprise picture for you.
Nope.
See yourself there. How was your yearbook signing? Did people sign it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty full.
Were you able to ask people to sign it? I felt like, being that I wasn't a cool kid, I felt like I had a fear of people telling me no. I think, although people did sign it, tons of people signed it, but like when I look, there's a lot of people not in my class, not in our class that actually signed it, like a lot of underclassmen, and there's some teachers and I don't know.
No, because people I asked, like we were in class together for a bunch of years. I knew them. And who's going to really say no?
See, that's the positive way to look at it. I didn't look at it that way, Kim.
I wouldn't say no to anybody.
See, I looked at it as like people would say, and this goes back to how you even like categorized me when you said like you felt like we were just like teasing each other. Yeah, I came into this whole thing ready to get ripped.
No. That's why I deleted my comment. I'm like, people are going to think he was a jerk. I'm like, no.
I know, I gave it a sad face.
To banner each other back and forth. I think it was in chorus, and I hated the chorus teacher.
In middle school?
Yeah.
Reckner?
I tried out for select singer, and she just like laughed at me.
Reckner.
Okay.
Rubenstein, Reckner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we had Mrs. Papadopoulos, who you had in Stony Creek.
I did. Yep.
I'm on record as saying that I wish that we had Conahan my entire high school time, because he was so much more invested in like musical teaching. Mm-hmm. And just the culture. And while Mrs. Reckner was always really good to me until my senior year, she really like pushed me vocally, and I was very into chorus, and I thought I was going to do theater like in college, and she ran the theater program in high school. When I saw the difference between like how Mr. Conahan was when he finally came in like the end of in our senior year, I really wished I could have had his influence. Because what you're kind of like feeling like you felt from her in middle school, that you definitely.
And do your scales. And she looked at me and she's like, "Do you take voice lessons?" So in my head, that's a compliment. I'm like, okay. But then she said something to me, and then I was like, I'm going to try it for select singers. And I came up and she just like laughed at me. She's like, "Why are you here?" Like, okay, never mind.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what I never did chorus after that.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, because I like singing. I can't sing, but I love singing. Like every time somebody says something that reminds me of a song, I just start singing.
No, I'll tell you, I have had friends that did chorus that never thought they were musically inclined. And Mr. Conahan always welcomed them in as long as they came to rehearsals and they participated. He never turned anybody away. He brought you in. When you've got like 15, 20 other kids, you know how hard it is? I mean, for me, because I sing I'm really, really fucking loud. So if I'm off key, you're going to know it. But like, you know how hard it is for like 15, 20 other kids to all be singing, and then like everyone can point you out as the one that's off. So that's crap.
Yeah. And I remember, I think it was my sophomore year, I did color guard just because I wanted to go to Dorney Park instead of Hershey Park. Mm-hmm. So I did that for a year. That was actually pretty neat. Got to do the Ambler parade.
Now, why didn't you like Hershey Park?
It's just I've been there. So I wanted to do something. I wanted to go to Dorney.
But Hershey Park had the candy.
I know. But I did go there chorus on our freshman year.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something different. So I joined color guard.
I love the end of the year trips to the amusement parks.
Yeah, and one of the podcasts we did go to Mermaid Lake it was our class picnic.
Oh yeah, I did that for elementary. I think 5th grade. We did that. We also went for senior year though. Also.
Yeah, it was our senior picnic.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I do remember that. I feel like I maybe came late to it or something, but I do remember I just remember trying to put on cool music in my car around everyone, so I sounded like real cool. Eminem, no doubt, or Jay-Z. That was like Blueprint or Dynasty Rock La Familia era.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Well, who would have thought we'd have had all these similarities?
I know, because listening to the podcast, I was like, wow, kind of similar. All right.
This is a great example of when you don't engage in high school or in school in general, when you don't engage with people. And, I definitely, especially when you left that Facebook message and I thought oh shit, this is going to be one of the tough ones. And that's why I told you, I said originally I wanted to do this face-to-face because I don't want to skip out on the awkwardness, even if it's awkwardness directed towards me. I want people to, the same way I invite people over and they think I might be about to tell them what a jerk they were to me or something. I want people to feel like they have equal opportunity to tell me. So I was oh, I've got to save Kim for when we're face to face and truly allow her moment to say fuck Brad.
No. It was more like I said, a brother sister banter, because I don't remember you much in high school. It was more middle school.
Oh, now I'm forgettable. Okay.
But I just when you popped up, that's the first thing I remembered was we had a banter, and I forget what it even was about or what we teased each other about.
It could have been something different every day for me.
Yeah.
That was my style.
It might have been math class too, because I'm remembering math class with you.
Okay. In middle school?
Yeah.
Well, just a great example of if I had actually talked to you instead of just teasing you, might have had a new friend out of it, and we could have listened to Jay-Z and Eminem together.
Exactly.
Well, we've been talking for a little bit, but is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we haven't touched on, that we haven't?
Yeah, it's just funny because I was up late thinking about all the memories. I'm like, what am I going to say? What am I going to think about? Who am I going to throw under the bus?
Well, we got Alicia. We put Alicia under the bus.
I feel bad. If you talk to her, tell her to contact me.
I will.
It seems like we're very similar too. That was I listened to her podcast. I'm like, wow, we could have been friends in high school. Maybe I wasn't annoying. I don't even know. I don't know how people perceived me back in the day.
Well, that's why I asked you. Well, although it's different from what you were saying, you talked about Alicia's coming to you and saying that you wouldn't be, that you wouldn't be popular. But when you were talking about, you looked at Alicia and wished that you could kind of be in that position. Mm-hmm. And I always said, I always thought it was people didn't like me. I always thought people maybe didn't like me because of some sort of a trait. Right. And then I would look at other people I thought had that similar trait and go, why do they like them? And not that you had anything else underlying, but from a personality standpoint, for me, it just, whatever reason, it didn't mesh with people in the same way that people who maybe just looked like me or had similar backgrounds meshed with. Yeah. But when you look back, do you look at yourself and think that there were things about you that just didn't vibe with people in that way?
I don't know, because like I said, I was T, so I wasn't very confident in myself. So I didn't really know how to communicate, make friends, be social. I was very reserved. So, but like I said, I don't know how people in high school perceive me at all. I'm kind of curious because I don't know if I was annoying. I don't know what group I was in, because I knew people from every group. even though like there were more acquaintances than friends.
Mm.
So I seem to have a lot more acquaintances than friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just from the outside looking in, and the friends that you mentioned, I don't look at you as like I didn't look at you as like in an academic group. And, you know, when you name the people that you named, I look at it as more as like the quiet group of girls that, you know, that no one else really socialized with. You know, you group of girls did your own thing. So that's kind of how I look at those people that you mentioned.
Yeah. Yep. That was us.
Well, this has been a cool catch up, and
It was.
I wish we could be face to face. So it looks like you're maybe having a little wine there.
No, it's actually diet.
Oh, Diet A&W. You pour into a glass from the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting.
Hard.
That's interesting.
I'm fancy.
Well, and I wish at least we could enjoy some root beer together. I would no doubt put some vodka into mine. But you're lucky in that case, and that I'm not making you do this until midnight.
Yeah, that's true.
Hopefully, when this thing loosens up, we can actually see each other, you know, face to face in person, and you know, keep in touch with each other.
Yep, that would be great.
Awesome. All right. Well, take care of yourself, Kim.
All right, you too.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.